It seems that Ragnar Blackmane is angrier than ever in his Primaris form, as this guy will typically be hitting with a whopping 10 attacks. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, the strategy focused 40k channel, where we're all about getting the most out of our miniatures on the tabletop. Today we're back to look at some more leaked rules from the Saga of the Beast, and we're going to be looking at Ragnar Blackmane, who has had his full datasheet posted to the wild world of the internet by someone who's industrious and has a copy of the box set already. This one does look like it's a legitimate leak, much like the Gazgul and Makari datasheets from earlier in the week. It looks like it's a datasheet card that comes in that Prophecy of the Wolf box that Games Workshop has come out with Space Wolves versus Orcs. This guy's looking very decent indeed, in combination with some of the things from the Space Wolves preview from Warhammer community. So without further ado, let's take a look. So Ragnar is an HQ choice for Codex Space Wolves, of course. We don't yet know his final points cost at this point, so any inferences about his strength are going to be a little bit guesswork. But in general, Games Workshop tend to be releasing models with their final points cost being something between 15 to 20 points per point of power level. That would put his points somewhere in the 100 to 110 points region, which if so, is really quite cheap for the sheer amount of pain that this guy can dish out. He has a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2+, strength and toughness 4, 6 wounds, so pretty typical for your standard Primaris captain, an absolutely whopping 7 attacks, leadership 9 and a 3+ save, which is further augmented by a 4+ invul. His pretty beautiful and dynamic new model from Games Workshop has him jumping forward armed with Frostfang, his relic chainsword, and besides this he also has a bolt pistol and frag and crack grenades, so he is very much a melee monster. To be honest, the rules for Frostfang don't really make it seem like a chainsword at all. It's strength +2, AP -4, so better than most power swords, and a flat damage of 2, so in general it's even better than a relic blade. Being strength +6 with high AP and being multiple damage means that he's a credible threat to anything in the game that he can reach, though he will be far stronger at anything that's toughness 6 or below. He has the Angels of Death special rule, which will give him Shock Assault, which is further augmented by another one of his special rules, and he will be getting the Combat Doctrines, and as we have seen from the Warhammer community preview for Space Wolves, their special Combat Doctrine Savage Fury will give him 2 hits on every successful roll of a 6. So if he's in that Combat Doctrine, he'll be hitting at AP -5 and will typically be getting at least 1 extra hit per assault phase. He has the Jarl of Fenris special rule, which is the standard captain style rerolls, rerolling hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by models by friendly Space Wolves while the unit is within 6 inches of the model. So he still functions in the same way as a normal Wolf Lord. And then on top of that, he has 3 absolutely murderous special rules that only serve to amp up his threat level further. The first and possibly least impressive is Battle Lust. This essentially gives 6-inch consolidation moves to any Space Wolf units that are within 6 inches of him, but not within 3 inches of an enemy. So basically if something charges, wipes out what it charged, then it gets a much boosted consolidation move which could be used for getting on objectives, getting in cover, or even moving forward to tie up the next foe. This might be handy for nearby units, but it will be particularly handy for himself, as he'll always have access to this after he's done killing something in close combat. It's a really nice little mobility boost, and one that you really don't want to be forgetting when you consolidate. Might not make a difference some of the time, but when it does, it could be a really big difference, such as stopping a big tank from shooting the next turn or something like that. A very nice ability to have. Next up we have War Howl, and this one is a powerful one. It's basically 4 reroll charges for friendly Space Wolf units, including him, if they're within 6 inches of this model when the charge roll is made. One of Space Wolf's major issues is getting into close combat. They generally tend to do alright when they're there, so having a solid source of re-rolling charges is a very decent deal indeed. Interesting that it's not made for vehicle models, so things like Bjorn or the Dreadnoughts won't be able to benefit from it, but everything else is fair game, and again he'll always be able to access it. I think this could be very nice potentially if you had a unit of Terminators Deep Strike next to him, and also into a Chaplain's aura of +2 to charge ranges, they could have a 7-inch re-rollable charge out of Deep Strike, which is pretty guaranteed to connect with the enemy. Finally, we have Berserker Rage, which is an ability that dials up his close combat to 11. It states that when he's affected by Shock Assault, rather than just getting a standard 1 extra attack like most Space Marines get, he gets 3 because he's extra angry. So that's 10 attacks under normal circumstances, meaning that you're pretty likely to get a couple of 6s each time he rolls, meaning that he'll typically get around about 11 or 12 hits on the charge when he's in the Space Wolves Assault Doctrine. Frostbane's pretty much tailor-made for killing Primaris infantry, and he will run through 7 intercessors each time he charges, or indeed basically 7 of pretty much any infantry with 2 wounds or less and no invul save. Very, very scary indeed. I think that all of this looks an absolute steal for around about 100 to 110 points. Sure, he's a little bit slow, but he's a ludicrously scary counter-attack element, and if you put him centrally in your battle line, then basically your opponent's going to have to give up the centre of the board unless they want to be frost-fanged in the face and have one of their units take a lot of damage. In their preview, Games Workshop mentioned that an Impulsor might be a decent pickup for him, and it certainly could get him very far forward turn 1. Sadly, as we know, you can't charge out of an Impulsor after it's moved, but I guess it could get him up the field turn 1 for him to be able to jump out and charge on turn 2. Finally, that Warhammer community stratagem that they previewed, which is called Touch of the Wild for 1 command point, is a ludicrously strong one for fighty characters such as Ragnar, meaning that he gets 1 additional hit on his target for every hit roll that he makes of a 4+. I believe that maths out to around about 17 or 18 hits on the charge, if he happens to be in the Space Wolves Doctrine. So if only 11 or 12 wasn't enough for you, then that stratagem could well be worth the measly 1 command point investment. I also don't see why he couldn't fight twice with this for another 3 command points, meaning that Ragnar should on average be putting out something around 35 hits with Frostfang in 1 assault phase, if all the stars align. That could pretty well kill most things in the entire game. I honestly do suspect he's going to be pointed around the 100 to 110 point mark, and for that lethality and killing power I think is certainly worth it, even though obviously as a walking character he isn't quite as easy to deliver into close combat as some of the others might be. I can only say that some of the other Primaris characters that they've released, such as poor old Master Lazarus from the Dark Angels, must be looking on with a bit of envy when they see the sort of hurt that this guy can put out. It'll be interesting when we have the full picture when Saga of the Beast comes out later. I mean, he's already pretty crazily strong. Any further options are only going to help that. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on him down below in the comments. He certainly seems like a solid pickup in a Space Wolves army. He probably outcompetes the vast majority of their fighty characters, and they do have good ones already, and can certainly help some of the wolves get into close combat with those rerolled charges and extra consolidation. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the full picture of Saga of the Beast. We'll certainly be covering it on this channel as soon as the rules are made available. Thanks very much for listening to another Auspex Tactics video. If you've liked it, then feel free to subscribe. We'll have plenty of Space Wolf content coming over the next few weeks. And if you'd like to help out the channel, I do have an Element Games affiliate link down in the description below for people who live in the UK. Element stocks Games Workshop products at a slight discount, so if you were thinking about buying some Warhammer anyway in the near future, if you order after clicking that link, then a small amount of the profits goes to Auspex Tactics without costing you any more at all. I can only recommend Element Games as they've always been fine whenever I've ordered any miniatures, so I have no trouble recommending them myself. In any case, thank you very much for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next video for some more Wolfy action.